Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. Yes, it is 7 p.m. on the East Coast, which means you got to look at my mug. Yes, you do. Thank you so much for showing up and sharing some of your evening with me. It's Tuesday night. That means Sharpe Way special last weekend today. Yes, indeed it does. I hope you're going to enjoy this. Before you do, please like, comment, share. Yes, get out there, comment, say hi to me or to whomever you want to. Like it, click those buttons. In fact, don't like it, love it. I don't care. Click something and share it everywhere you can possibly share it. It really does matter. And as always, if you want to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/sharpeway. Throw me some of those Trump bucks or them Biden bucks or those printed stolen bucks, whatever they are. Send those bucks my way. If you got some extra, I get it. If you don't have extra, no worries. Head over to theadvocates.org, the human respect test. The link is in the description. Click that link in the description. Take that test. 3 minutes. Share it. It's free. You can help me for free. Support our sponsors. Absolutely. Of course, please do that if you can. And as always, like, comment, share. I want to bring up the new wars that we're kind of already fighting and about to fight and still fighting. The new wars. And if you notice, every time there's something tough or big or whatever the case may be, there's always a war about it. There's always a war on this and a war on that and a war on the other. It's somehow the war on terror, right? That's the problem. It's a war on COVID, the war on now internal terror. That's the next thing, right? The war now on internal terror. That's the problem. No matter what we do, there's always a war on something. And a war means we can do whatever we want to make that thing happen. That is a huge problem, massive problem. So now we have the war on COVID. The biggest thing. Now we can shut down businesses, crush everything. We got the war now on domestic terror. Oh my God. War now on domestic terror next. That's the next problem we have. Ton of problems. So let me go this weekend and show what my buddy Fareed Zakaria talked about and why he decided that, he thought the war on COVID was important. Let me bring this up real fast and you'll see what I mean and see where he goes with this. I think you may enjoy where he goes.
President Joe Biden has many competing priorities as he begins his first term.
Many competing priorities. Of course, he's right. Fareed says tons of issues.
Dealing with the pandemic, restarting the economy, establishing American credibility on the world stage, and competing effectively with China.
Competing with China, world stage, all those things. Absolutely, yes.
But it turns out that there's one thing he can do that'll address all these problems at once.
There's a magic pill. He can do one thing that will affect all these issues at the same time.
Vaccinate all Americans as quickly as possible.
Look at that. Vaccinate as quick. That's the answer. If you just vaccinate everybody, everything else goes away.
Biden's current goal of vaccinating 1 million people a day is far too modest.
Too modest.
Double that, doing whatever it takes to achieve herd immunity for the U.S. by late April or early May.
Now, I want to be clear about what he just said. He said what Biden said, doing 1 million a day is not enough. We got to do at least double, 2 million a day, so that we can get herd immunity and life will all of a sudden be perfect. I love the idea. I think it's a great idea. But I'm wondering, what do you think is going to happen here? If you know Fareed at all, you know where he's going to go. Fareed always walks down a libertarian road and then turns hard left. Every time. You've seen me put him on this many times before. He's going to start to attack government. Of course, because he always does. But watch what his answer is. You'll love this. You're going to love this.
This will instantly boost America's standing and give the president leverage with everyone.
So now all of a sudden, the president will have leverage. If he does this, everyone will love him. Life is good. That's what he's saying.
From the Republicans to the Europeans to the Chinese.
Everyone loves it.
Right now, the rollout of the vaccine is flailing.
And he says it. Right now, the rollout of the vaccine is flailing. It is completely collapsing.
Donald Trump's Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, predicted that 20 million Americans would be vaccinated by the end of 2020.
Now, always Fareed has to beat up Trump because Fareed is absolutely not a fan of Trump. So he has to start beating up Trump immediately, which is fine. I get it. His data his data is usually good data. Just understand where he comes from. So he says, Trump's guy was bad.
In fact, that number barely reached 3 million.
Yep, didn't do it.
The situation has improved since then, but there is still chaos and confusion.
There's lots of chaos, lots of confusion, right? I mean, I get that. But didn't someone speak about how this could actually work? Meaning how we could actually get all these people actually vaccinated. I mentioned pharmacies. That's what I talked about months ago. Give them the pharmacies. They have the data. People get vaccinated. They know how to get the drugs. They get it all the time. Get them vaccinated. Easy day. If you want a vaccination, go. You don't want the vaccination, don't go. Pretty simple.
The Trump administration's mishandling of the vaccine rollout follows a string of other public health failures, including bungled policies on testing.
So the government messed it all up. I got it. The government got it all up. Okay.
And isolation, as well as the supply of medical equipment.
Yep.
While the administration did an admirable job funding vaccine development.
So now he does say the government did a good job funding it. So that's fine. He gives Trump a little bit of credit. Says, hey, you funded it right, but you didn't do anything right. So he's saying government failed.
Through Operation Warp Speed, it quickly fell back into its familiar hands-off mode once the private sector pulled off that feat.
So once the private sector pulled off the feet and did the right thing, now things got bad. Okay.
The states whose varying standards and weak infrastructure make them ill-equipped to carry out a mass vaccination campaign.
So the states with poor infrastructure make them ill-equipped to actually do the vaccine. Yeah. Yes. It isn't like you didn't know this last year. It isn't like I didn't tell you this last year. Yes. Why in the world would I want government to do this? They were ill-equipped. And guess what happened? It failed.
Have been forced to improvise with predictable consequences.
Don't you hear me say this all the time? This is both predictable and preventable. It was predictable. So why did we do it?
And while the Trump administration has plenty of blame on his hands, this is a much larger failure.
Look at that. Even Fareed saying it isn't only Trump. Look, Fareed's saying that. That's a big deal. Fareed usually blames Trump for a lot. In this case, even he's saying it's not just Trump. This is government in general. Yeah.
As I write in my book, 10 Lessons for a Post-Pandemic
He's
World,
got a book. He's smart.
The U.S. government has in recent decades become good at just one thing.
What? Wait, he just says the U.S. government in recent decades has become good at just one thing. He's right. What do you think he's going to say? Bombing people? Nope. Arresting people? Nope.
Writing checks.
Yes, indeed.
Its major endeavors have centered around tax cuts and credits, bailouts and relief payments.
That's it. Write checks. And he's right. When it comes to printing money, come on. Can you beat America? You really can't. I mean, we print money better than anybody. Borrow, print, write checks. We're very good at that. He's right. Writing checks is correct.
The size of the COVID relief packages passed in 2020, including the money for Operation Warp Speed, was impressive.
It was impressive.
Other than dispensing cash, the federal government seems unable to administer anything.
Yes! Did you hear what he's saying? Other than dispensing cash, the federal government seems to be unable to administer anything. Welcome to the Libertarian Party. Oh my God, Fareed. There you go. Walking right down the Libertarian road like you do all the time. And you've teased me too many times. So I'm not going to fall for this. You're a tease. I'm not going to fall for this. I don't think you're really going to go libertarian.
40 years of Reaganism.
Oh.
Defunding, dismantling.
Oh, it was Reagan and it was Trump that did it. Oh, so Reagan and Trump ruined everything. Before them, government was rocking it, right? That's when government was doing everything right till Reagan and Trump ruined it all. All those presidents in between, just those two ruined everything. Thanks, Reagan. Thanks, Trump. You ruined it all. Government was awesome till you guys came in, made us write checks.
and demeaning government have taken their toll.
Oh, so literally kill people. So Reagan and Trump killed people. Okay.
Now, the capacity of the state to undertake large and complex projects cannot be rebuilt overnight.
Absolutely. Cannot be rebuilt overnight. How about never really existed and maybe shouldn't be built at all? I'm going to go one step further. Do you see how we went down that libertarian road and said, hold on, we got to spend time building it. See? Went right down that road at tease.
But some things can be changed right away.
Tell me.
The Biden team is clearly well qualified.
The Biden team's qualified. The Biden team's qualified to start all kind of new wars. He's right on that one. Again, Fareed, when it comes to starting wars, war on drugs, war or increasing wars, or having more, yes, you're right. The Biden team super qualified for that. I just don't want any of that. That's the problem. See, they're qualified to do stuff that I don't want. That's the problem. But yeah, you're correct. If you want another war on drugs or a deeper war on drugs or another war on terror or an internal war on terror, these guys are right in line. They will know exactly how to do it. You're right. I just don't want that.
Important. They believe in government.
They believe in government. That's the problem. Every other week you come on your show and say how bad government is. And then you go, well, it's because we don't believe in government. If I just tax you another 20%, then we'd have the perfect government right then. That's the issue. If just the rich would pay their fair share, then government would be perfect. Of course it would be. Of course it would be.
And understand that getting it to work is a special challenge in the United States.
Not just that.
You see, power in America is divided among three branches of government.
He's unhappy with this. Power is absolutely, divvied up in three branches. That's dumb. We should put it all under one king, and then we wouldn't have a problem. Is that what you're saying? Are you literally saying authoritarianism is the way? Yeah, government doesn't work. So what should we do? Put more power in the central hands. Or we could have just given this to the private sector. That was the other answer.
Thousands of federal agencies and thousands of local authorities.
Oh my God.
Corralling all these forces to work together requires strenuous, persistent efforts.
So you mean like a, multinational company does on a daily basis? Like say an Amazon, a Google, and even an IBM. I mean, any of these companies, any of these big companies who do exactly what you just said. T-Mobile does that. Starbucks does that. So you mean like in the private sector where they literally do that right now? Like that?
Directed by the White House every day.
Why in the world would you want it to be directed by the White House every day? Why? Government doesn't work, so let's put more government.
If you view government as a reality television show, consisting mostly of symbols.
Guy, you Trump supporters I know out there, you're mad when he does it, but just listen to him. He's always going to smack Trump. That's going to happen no matter what, but just listen to what he's saying.
Symbolic gestures and signals to your base. Turns out little gets done.
So before Trump, it was all just working. But the second you start just signaling to your base, because only Trump signals to his base, nobody else does. You guys know I didn't vote for Trump. I threw my vote away on Joe Jorgensen. I'm joking, guys, but I voted for Joe Jorgensen. So I'm not about saying that Trump is the greatest guy in the world. I'm not. But he's like it's all Trump's fault. I don't know. I seem to see all of these guys just signaling to their base, not just him. And I've been seeing it for literally decades. But I guess it's all Reagan and Trump's fault.
The federal government has already paid for hundreds of millions of doses of vaccine.
Yes, it has paid already.
It has the funds available to vaccinate.
It has the funds available. You're right.
It should take on the task of ensuring that Americans are vaccinated and fast. The president should use every tool available.
The president should use every tool available. He is literally saying, because it's a war, we should have the president do everything, every tool, shut it all down.
From the armed forces to FEMA, as well as partnerships with private companies like Starbucks and Federal Express.
Oh, and partner with these companies like Starbucks and Federal Express, which I just said do exactly what he wants for a living. They literally do what you're talking about every single day. And at least decent, better than the government does. Why would you partner Why wouldn't you just say, go, good luck? How about just oversee, like have a vaccine czar? We like SARS. That makes SARS. That sounds good. We like SARS. That sounds good, right? We'll have some kind of czar who looks over the vaccines and gets credit when the private sector does it well. We'll do that.
Yes. Drugstore chains, by one account, have the capacity to administer more than 3 million vaccines a day.
Whoa! So drugstore chains, he just showed CVS and Walgreens have the ability to do 3 million vaccines a day. He just said that. What was the number he asked for earlier? He said 2 million. They can already do 3 million. So why would you need partnerships? Why wouldn't you just give it to them? Just give it to them. They can do 3 million a day. Look, they're even branding it Walgreens. They'll do it for free for the advertising. Walgreens spends at least several $100 million a year, several $100 million a year on advertising. You're telling me they wouldn't do this to get their advertising everywhere? Of course they would. Silly answer.
This should be the equivalent of a wartime effort.
Wartime effort. I didn't see that coming. Or it could be wartime effort, or you could simply open the economy and allow people to go and get vaccines at Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, all those places, and local pharmacies also, as they want to, as fast as they want to, making their list whenever they want. And all of a sudden, people would start getting vaccinated and the economy could open as people feel comfortable. Meaning, as people start getting the vaccine, they will then feel better and they'll start going back out more. And no one has to be in charge of that. That could just work on its own. Could. Or you could, I don't know, call it a war and put people in jail.
Those who have worked on mass rapid vaccination programs in developing countries argue for a truly aggressive approach.
Yes, because those developing countries are all authoritarian warlord countries. So yeah, of course they would look for that. They would want lots of money coming from America so they can skim about 20% off the top to put it in a warlord's pocket, then pay off their cronies about another 10, 20%, and then the rest trickles down to the people so they can get vaccinated so they can go back to work in slave labor camps. That makes total sense. I thought that wasn't us. Maybe I'm wrong.
We should set up thousands of vaccination sites.
Or use pharmacies. Why would you say set up vaccination sites when you said you only wanted 2 million a day, and then you literally said in a 5-minute span that pharmacies can do 3 million? Why would you want to pay extra sites when pharmacies will do it without having to pay anything? They're happy to have people there.
Many of them running 24/7.
Oh, you mean like pharmacies that you just showed a picture of with a 24-hour sign-on like that?
And create mobile units to reach people far from population centers.
You mean in population centers that like already have a Rite Aid or Walgreens already in that population center? Even no one being more than about an hour away from a Walgreens or Rite Aid in almost any part of our country? You mean like that?
The government should spend no expense in accelerating the rollout.
Why? We are a gajillion dollars in debt. Spare no expense. Just throw all the money away. That's the right answer, because the government writes checks well. Throw all the money away. Here, take all my money. And then we'll be alive with no economy. Well done.
The effort will easily pay for itself.
How? I just gave you a way that would pay for itself. I literally gave you a way that would pay for itself. This won't. It's not. We're getting crushed. Our economy's devastated. Absolutely wrong. Fareed, I love you, brother. You're way wrong. You know, your love of government just went too far.
By saving lives, driving economic output, and of course, raising tax revenues along the way.
He just made those last ones up. He just made those up. If we do this, it'll drive economic, how? And erase, taxes. How? Yeah, he just made that up.
America's handling of the pandemic in general has been a disaster and is widely seen as such.
That's true.
In a Pew survey across 13 major countries, 84% of respondents agreed that the United States had bungled COVID-19.
Yeah, because we relied on government. Yes.
And every country believed they had done far better than the U.S.
Of course. What they're going to say, what we did, we sucked. They're going to say that? Of course.
The Irish columnist Fintan O'Toole described the strange new attitude of the world towards the US.
Mm-hmm.
Not admiration or hatred or envy, but for the first time, pity.
Terrible.
In an essay in Foreign Affairs, Samantha Power, the incoming
Oh my
head of
God,
US
this is
foreign
terrible.
aid programs, reminds us that the world has admired America
Yes.
most for its spectacular achievements.
Yes, spectacular achievements. And we could have done one, but we didn't. And because we didn't allow our private sector, we didn't allow the American people to actually do what they do best.
The US was the arsenal of democracy.
Bombing people. We're good at that.
Executed the Berlin airlift.
That's true. Also, the problem we started.
And created the internet. If the Biden administration can succeed spectacularly at the most pressing challenge currently facing the world, that will say loud and clear to everyone, America is back.
Well, America can be back if we simply stop doing what we're doing now. So that's the issue that drives me crazy. The issue that drives me crazy about this is he went down the right road, and then, of course, he made that hard left turn. Let me grab a couple of comments, if I can, to keep going here. So thank you so much for saying, hey, I appreciate that. Buenos dias to you, too. Also, of course, I appreciate that. Yes, thank you for saying hi. Great. Hey, Larry, I was wondering where you were chilling. Are you smoking? I wonder if any founding father ever smoked weed. If so, then do you think modern American government should have locked up a founding father? Well, I think they shouldn't have locked up a founding father. I'm a square, Brandon. I'd say that up front. The only drug I use is caffeine. That's it. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Don't smoke weed. Nothing. It's not what I do. I'm not against it. Please do whatever makes you feel good. I judge no one for anything that makes them feel good. Take the vice that you think works best for you, whatever that vice is. So no, I don't. But do I think founding fathers smoked weed? Sure, I would assume some did. I mean, I'm sure they had some type of drug, whatever that is in the day. Humans want to get high. They want to get high with their friends, whether that high is, running together in a race, whether that's smoking weed, whether that's getting drunk, whether that's, spiritually at a church on a Sunday or something. People want to get high together, whatever that is. So I'm sure they did. And no one should get arrested for getting high. They should get arrested for doing bad things. So hope that was good. Share. Thank you so much. Yes, I had audio issues. I hope they're back now. I've been having internet issues the entire day. I think that's what slowed me down. I hope that was clear. So yes. All right. See if I can keep going here. Let's see here. Can we end the war on drugs, please? Yes, I would like that very much. Absolutely. Can I raise freeze audio level? I can't. The problem is they do this on purpose. They don't want me repeating it so much, so they lower it on purpose. It's not great. Larry, as terrible as his Magic King Cuomo is, it may be fair to say that Il Duce, Gavin Mussolini, of California, is worse and more stupid. While shutdowns only raised COVID numbers, and he kept doubling down until Joe Biden became POTUS because of science, quotes, impeach Mussolini and King Cuomo. Avi, I don't really know if Newsom is worse, but my gut says no. My gut says no because I live here. So I feel like he's the worst. Absolutely. So Tommy Brown, how are you, Tommy? I owe you a call, brother. Major announcement coming from me on this topic. There is zero real true action being done in the cyber arena. There never is, Tommy. It's all talk and no actual action. It's not about laws and what government centralizing. Major announcement coming from me. Larry Sharpe, get ready. I'm going to get ready, brother. Come on. I'll put it up here. I'll put it here. Absolutely. Yes. I'm against this vaccination and talk about herd immunity. I was in the entertainment industry, and my fear is I'm going to be required to get the vaccination to see a stage again. Ooh, interesting, Jimmy. That might happen. My assumption, though, is if they get the right amount, whatever their herd immunity rule, I think is it 80%? I've forgotten what it is. I think they'll probably just be more lenient. That's my gut, but I got a feeling that's the way it's going, right? The reason why I brought I put Fareed up here is to show that people are still talking about the war on COVID, and we are months away from going back to any form of new normal. The amount of people who are going to be hurt by this, it's insane, right? A lot are going to be hurt, and I would like us to start thinking about the reality of people are stressed, people are angry, people are upset. The damage being done is far more, as I mentioned last night, than just the people being killed by COVID. So, by the way, if there are any of you who want to find a way to kind of deal with your anxiety, I have a way. Larry Sharpe, host of the Sharpe Way here. Look, are you dealing with some anxiety, some stress? maybe some pain from hustling during this tough time. If you think a CBD product might help you relieve some of that anxiety or pain, head on over to grownselection.com. Check them out. High quality, top rated, libertarian owned. Looking for creams, powders, oils, whatever is going to make your health better. Check them out. Make a purchase. Put in Sharpe Way 20. Get 20% off. They're our sponsor. Support us. Support your health. grownselection.com. That guy's right. So if you care about that, please feel free to grab that if you want to. So yes, there's talk of using dentists to give the vaccine. Apparently the ADA is fighting it. Liability issues. You don't need it, right? You just need people who are trained. That really is the answer. I don't know why you'd even want that. Seems crazy to me. Larry Sharpe needs to write a book. I'm actually in the process of writing 2 books. The first one is a book on happiness that I hope will come out this year, maybe in the summer, I hope. And the second one is on leadership. That one should come out next year. So I am in the process of writing books. It takes a long time to do this show, prep for the show. And then during the day, I actually just work to make money to pay my family and pay my bills. Unless you guys want to help me out, you can. Head over to patreon.com/sharpeway. Throw some bucks here. That will be helpful. So that I can pay my team to do even more work. That would be even better. Thank you. And also, I'm writing a book. So it is 2 books. It's actually very hard to get all of that done. So I appreciate that. Yes. Writing checks. Wow. It would be funny if it wasn't true. Sadly, yes, it is absolutely true. 100%. So yeah. So let me keep going. Clinton killed people. Yeah, they all did. It wasn't just Trump who killed people, right? I mean, that's what his rule is. Trump was the only president that ever did anything bad. I remember every president that I've been under has somehow been responsible for bombing somebody. I mean, maybe not Carter, but okay. So maybe not Carter. All the rest bombed somebody. All the rest did. So yes. Government's new motto: we will protect you from harm, no matter who we hurt. Yes, this is the piece that is funny. We're the only. Not only will we help you, we're the only ones who can. Right? Sounds like a Santa Claus movie. Absolutely, yes. Right? Apparently, the magic of government works like Santa Claus. You have to believe or it won't work. See that, James? You just don't believe enough. That's your problem. Believe enough, it would absolutely work. Yes. Vincent says Chick-fil-A should have been in charge of the vaccine rollout. Everyone that can get into line will get their shots in less than 5 minutes. I love it. And after they jab you in the arm with the metallic pointy object and you thank them, they will say, my pleasure. And maybe give you a chicken sandwich on top of it. Not a bad deal. I'm with you. You can get a chicken sandwich and do that. Absolutely. Yes. So funny. That's true. So, Larry, the sad thing is that many people think printing more money and increasing unemployment benefits indefinitely will solve our problems. I agree. And the reason why, Avi, is it's a good temporary short-term solution because people see it right away. So I throw you a check, you go, oh, I got a check. I'm good. Thanks, Uncle Joe. I got a check. You are totally right, though. It is horrible how bad the future is for us. He responds, he continues, it is horrifying that people know nothing about how this led to tyranny in countries like Zimbabwe and Venezuela. Every day we inch closer to this nightmare. Yes. Why do you think I'm doing this? You're right, Avi, of course. And people need to understand that. And tell your friends this, everybody who's listening. Tell your friends this. Absolutely. So, yeah. How many months until gas is $5 a gallon? 3? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe 3? 100%. So, all right. So, see if I keep moving this thing down here. All right. Grab a couple more here. All right. Larry, when you become governor, you should not only deport King Cuomo and Comrade Shea Blasio, please disown Dr. Fauci as a New Yorker. He is a pseudoscientist that praises King Cuomo's leadership during COVID. He is a fraud only qualified to lead the scientists for the flat earther movement. Oh my God, it's terrible. Really terrible. Yes. I got my flu shot at my doctor's office. I don't know if doctors are qualified to give out flu shots, LOL, but it took a total of 5 minutes. Yes, this wasn't a horrible thing at all. This could have been done very easily. Germany is just as slow. Yeah, I can imagine. Absolutely. Declaring war on this guarantees this getting strung out for years and years. Man, Keith, you've hit it perfectly. Keith, you've hit it perfectly because if it's a war, You have to end the war with a peace treaty or something, and there's no real enemy. So where's the peace treaty? And, once you prepare for the war against COVID, now there's the next thing that's coming. Should we be prepared for the next war? You're right. And this is the hardest part. People don't get this. And I'm going to bring up the next person I'm going to bring up. This is Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard was on Fox News Primetime a couple days ago, and she was bringing up exactly what you just said, Keith. This is one of her issues on this, and see if you guys like this. I hope the sound is going to be higher on this one.
Former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, Democrat, joins us now. Congresswoman, great to see you. I know you've just been out of the job for a week or two. Are you surprised they're pushing forward with this extra surveillance on would-be domestic terror?
Now, she's talking about domestic terror. That's the other war, right? COVID is the first war, and now this one is the second war. This is a war now against not terror, but domestic terror. That's the new one, domestic terror. Because what could go wrong?
It's so dangerous. As you guys have been talking about, this is an issue that all Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Libertarians should be extremely concerned about.
Did you hear her mention us? All you guys, you Libertarians who keep, hating on Tulsi Gabbard, stop hating on her. You don't have to love her. You don't have to want her as your presidential nominee. I get it. I'm okay with that. Just stop hating on her. At least she's mentioning us. At least she's doing that. So let's be nice. Can we just say nothing if you're unhappy with it? Just keep your mouth shut. Let us say good stuff about us.
Especially because we don't have to guess about where this goes or how this ends. When you have people like former CIA Director John Brennan openly talking about how he's spoken with or heard from appointees and nominees in the Biden administration who are already starting to look across our country for these types of movements similar to the insurgencies they've seen overseas.
Yes. So they're like, oh, wait a minute. People don't like the forever wars overseas anymore. We don't like those. So you know what we should do? Let's make those forever wars here in America. There we go. Here in America. That's what we need to do. We've got all these people who are out there hunting the Muslims out there. Let's go hunt the evangelicals here, I guess. Absolutely. Now, all of a sudden, that's the next step. And even she mentions it.
That in his words, he says, make up this unholy alliance of religious extremists, racists, bigots. He lists a few others and adds at the end, even libertarians.
She mentioned us twice. Guys, stop hating on her. She mentions us prime time twice. Stop hating on her. And she's unhappy. Literally, she's unhappy that they put all these people together. All of a sudden now, the unholy alliance. Now libertarians are unholy? Evangelicals, of all the people to be unholy, the evangelicals. Anyway, so the evangelicals now are unholy. Christians, they're unholy now. All of a sudden, everyone's unholy because that's a terrible alliance. And I brought this up. Nobody said unholy. If you remember last week when I was talking about the attack on the Capitol, I said this is a religion. I said that, if you remember. And they called their Capitol, the Capitol building, a temple. And I said one of the reasons why now they hate Trump so much, and now Tulsi also, is because they're heretics. They don't believe in the religion that the establishment believes in. And whether you're a Democrat or Republican, the establishment of your party, they're all part of the same religion. So maybe it's like, the equivalent of Catholics and Protestants, perhaps, but they're all Christians, meaning they're all the same religion. Not meaning they're all Christians, meaning they're all the same religion, right? Maybe there's some sects within the religion, but they're all the same religion. And what happened in the Capitol, they couldn't take that because that was sacrilege. That defiled, the word they used, not that I use, defiled their temple. That's what they said. So, looks like a holy war now. Unholy infidels, got to go after them.
So when you look at their process and they start looking at, okay, what characteristics are we looking for as we're building this profile of a potential extremist?
Now we're profiling extremists to include clearly libertarians, us extremists, because you know what people think about? The first thing they think about Larry Sharpe, extremist. It's first thing, right? I remember someone said, do you know Larry Sharpe? And they were like, which Larry Sharpe? The extremist? Yes, the extremist. That guy, yes, because I'm so extreme. So, of course, we're all extremists. And they're creating a profile. I thought profiling was a bad thing. I always thought that was a bad thing. Isn't that what they told us? Maybe I'm wrong.
What are we talking about? Religious extremists? Are we talking about Christians, evangelical Christians? What is a religious extremist? Is it somebody who's pro-life? I mean, where do you take this?
Yep.
You start looking at, okay, well, obviously you have to be a white person.
They got to be white. So Tulsi and I are good on this one. But, you know, I don't know. He's in trouble on there. Some of you guys are in trouble because you're white guys. You know, Tulsi and I are okay here.
Obviously, likely male, libertarians. Well, if anybody who loves freedom.
Oh, so if you're a white libertarian male, run. They're coming after you now. It's okay. Me and Tulsi got your back. It's fine.
Liberty maybe has an American flag outside their house.
I want you to keep thinking about that. She brought libertarians several times. And you might say, why does that matter? Because the establishment's actually scared. Some of you don't know this, but the entire reason for one of the runoffs in Georgia was because a libertarian took 3% of the vote. Shane Hazel, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Shane the Monster Hazel, took enough of the vote in Georgia to force a runoff. Yeah. Yes. And then when he said, why don't you come on my podcast? Because Shane has a podcast. So if you want to check it out, please Google Shane Hazel, jump on his podcast. He said, you know, come on my podcast and talk to my audience and, you know, make your pitch as to why they should vote for you. They didn't come. They didn't come. Why didn't they come? You can't talk to a heretic. You can't hang out with the infidels. You can't do that. So they would rather sacrifice the victory and gamble on losing than associate with a heretic. Yes, that's absolutely true. Do you think all the stuff we're talking about, you know, now it's easy for Tulsi Gabbard to go on Fox because she's a heretic now?
Or people who, you know, attended a Trump rally. Once you start walking this down the path, you see where it leads to a very dangerous undermining of our civil liberties.
Every time the war on terror was horrible, and now the war on domestic terror will be horrible. What do you hear me say all the time? People who are afraid make bad decisions. Let's not make Americans afraid. But the government loves making us afraid. So now this is a crazy insurrection and people are attacking everybody and the entire nation's going to die. So war on domestic terrorism. What could go wrong?
Our freedoms in our Constitution and a targeting of almost half of the country.
UN Omar says this, we already have laws on the books, sorry, but you are just going to have to learn to apply them. The other thing I thought was interesting.
Did you see this? This is literally, you know, parts of the squad. The squad has jumped on board with this. Yes, the squad. Libertarians, we are simpatico on this one with Tulsi Gabbard and the squad. Think about that for a second. Right? AOC, my congressperson, is against this and signed a petition saying she's against this. Now, I rarely am in line with my congressperson, AOC. Today, I am. I will give you credit where credit is due. I will always give someone credit where credit is due. She is on the right side of this issue. Well done, AOC. I didn't vote for you, but I am happy about this one. Let's hope you can do, I don't know, like 75 more like this, and maybe we can bring you closer. Look, I'm open to talk to anybody. I hope you can move closer to us. So well done on this one. Let's give her and the squad props for this one. Well done. Well done.
We're seeing the FBI demanding more tools.
That's not true.
I feel they got the tools.
No. That's not true. FBI always wants more tools. FBI always wants more laws. That part you guys are wrong on. FBI is always about more laws. In fact, there's a bunch of guys who actually went on TV this weekend talking about how we need a special domestic terrorism law so that we can treat it the same as the other. Yeah, no. That part you guys are wrong. FBI is all about. The local people don't want more laws because they know that it's BS. But the feds, yes, they want more laws. Always.
These are congressional leaders or members who feel as though they're so freaked out by Trump supporters, they still can't understand why anyone would support him.
Yes.
They want to get to the bottom of it. And do you think
this is all about attacking and hurting former Trump supporters and current Trump supporters? No doubt. That's true.
Whole deprogramming of Trump supporters, this new buzzword among
deprogramming. Where would you deprogram somebody? Maybe at, like, I don't know, a camp? You might deprogram people at camps. Perhaps you got to round them up in some way, shape, or form, right? Like a place where, like a re-education camp, maybe, where you might require you to really change your mind. It needs a lot of concentration in these camps. Yes, terrible jokes, I know, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. And once you start detaining people, you don't have to detain everybody, and that's the issue. You don't. You just have to detain enough to put fear in all the rest. Are they really going to arrest half of America or 1/3 of America, whatever is the number of people who still support Trump, whatever that number is, tens of millions? Are they actually going to arrest tens of millions of people? No, of course not. Would they arrest thousands? Yes. Would they make thousands of them examples for the rest? Yes. How do we know that? Guantanamo Bay lets us know that's exactly what they would do. Exactly what they would do.
Detractors and Democrats has anything to do with this?
Yeah, I think it does very directly. I think just on the FBI front, I read a great op-ed this morning from a former FBI agent who made a very strong case for why this new domestic terror law introduced by Adam Schiff is wrong and is directly going to undermine our Constitution.
And note, former. Current FBI is like, more laws? Yeah, baby. Let's make a separate. Now we had all those people who we have to pull out of the foreign terrorism. Let's make a new domestic terrorism unit. That'll work. We'll arrest people. We'll make up fake crimes like the FBI does all the time. We'll make up some fake crimes. Yeah, absolutely. Guaranteed, there's gonna be like 45 different, fake domestic terrorism crimes the FBI is gonna make up and entrap people into, and you're gonna see like 20 of them this year. Watch.
Rights and freedoms. This whole effort, whether you're talking about this bill or people saying that we have to deprogram these Trump cultists and
these Trump cultists. If you don't think the way I think, clearly you're a cultist. This is how it works. I'm getting tired of all these Bernie cultists and all these AOC cultists and all these Tom Cotton cultists and all these non-Larry Sharpe cultists. Because if you think I'm a good guy, you are clearly normal. Anyone else is a cultist, just to be clear.
People who voted for Trump because they've been radicalized. All of this just goes to further tear our country apart.
Yes. This is what I was talking about last week. People have told me 1,000 times, I'm exaggerating, but a bunch I see online, people get mad at me. People have tweeted at me, DM me. Larry, if you want to have, if you really want to have people getting together, if you want to have unity, you got to have accountability first. Since when? When has that been? Well, punish first, then you'll love me. When has that ever really been true? That's a fantasy we tell each other. What you have to have is respect and acknowledgement. Respect and acknowledgement. Now you can start having some conversations. And when you have some conversations, you can start having some unity. That's how it actually works. Right? It's not about, I got to punish the guy first so I can feel good about myself. That isn't the answer. The answer is respect. I talk about it all the time. Respect, respect, respect. Look, if you want to talk about respect, I got something for you right now. Larry Sharpe here, host of the Sharpe Way show, and boy, do we need to start coming together and healing now more than ever. Best way to do that. Respect. We gotta respect each other so we can start to come together. How can we facilitate that? Head over to the advocates.org/human respect test. Yes, there's a test for human respect. You think there was? There is. Take that test. About 3 minutes. It's done. Share it online. Share it on your social media. Let other people see it. Let them take the test. Share it with others. Let's start talking about respect. Let's start talking about healing. Let's find the right answer for us to move forward. Advocates.org. Human respect tests. That guy's so right. And by the way, click on the link in the description. It takes you right there. Take that test and share it. It makes everybody happy. It is awesome. So please do that if you can. Absolutely. So I want to stay this for a couple more seconds if I can.
And it moves towards the thing Joe Biden said in his inauguration speech that he shouldn't happen, which is a dehumanization of your opponent.
Yes. Joe Biden talked the talk. I got to give you, Joe Biden had some nice rhetoric. There was some nice rhetoric. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. Biden speaks far nicer than Trump spoke. There's no doubt. He speaks a whole lot nicer. My concern is, where's the action behind that speech? Right? It sounds great. I love it. Oh, sounds nice. Unity. Great. Where's the action? Where's the forgiveness? Where's him stepping in? I don't see it.
And that's where his voice is so necessary right now. He is the president of this country. He delivered this speech, his voice, himself, speaking to the American people. He needs to denounce people like John Brennan and their statements.
Absolutely.
Bills like the one Adam Schiff put forward.
Get rid of that.
And truly speak to the American people about how we must come together around, the Constitution, around our Bill of Rights, around these rights that have been endowed to us by our Creator.
Absolutely. I appreciate that 100%. She's totally right. Right. This is what we should be thinking about without question. And we're not. Right. We're not. Let me grab a couple more comments if I can. I know a lot of people. Thank you, by the way, for all these comments. I really do appreciate it. So, all right. Elon Omar's was nutbag. It's amazing that we allowed her to come to this country as refugee, and all she does is whine about how horrible everything is here. Being in Brisbane, want to make her a logical ally of King Cuomo. Be that as it may, Avi, she's on the right side this time. So credit where credit is due, as always. You hear me say it all the time, right? Credit where credit is due. Camps are fun. Campfires and marshmallows. Yeah. Frankenstein wrong thinker. I love that name, by the way. In theory, that's true. I think these camps not going to be so great. That's just my point. Not going to be so great at all. So, all right. Domestic terrorism or homegrown terrorism is a form of terrorism in which victims within a country are targeted by a perpetrator with the same citizenship as the victims. Their main definition of terrorism, and none of them are universally accepted. That's true. But everything that happened, this last week, the week before, is already against the law, right? They're already arresting people. So all that we're going to do by making this war on domestic terror is more surveillance on Americans. That's what's going to happen. More surveillance on Americans. That's it. Tulsi nails it there. Absolutely, she does. 100%. Yes. Are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Libertarian Party? Well done, David. Look at you pulling that out of the past. Well done. Yes. For those of you who don't know, that was McCarthyism. That question they asked is, are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? And this is going to be us next. You're right. I'm in trouble because I'm still a member. David, if the camps are coming, I hope Frankenstein wrong thinker is correct, and not the wrong thing, but the right thinker. I hope the camps have marshmallows and games. That would be awesome. But I have a feeling they don't. I don't think they do. So yes. All right. Let me keep going here if I can. Yeah, I'm screwed. Yeah, Tom, you're in trouble, brother. Yeah, I'm going to try to protect you. I am. But I'm just saying, they're looking directly at you. Absolutely. Sorry, Larry, still not a fan of Tulsi, but I do thank her for dropping the Libertarian name. And that's all I'm asking for. You to be forward. I'm teasing some of you guys, but I know a lot of people have been very negative on her. And I get that some people don't think she's libertarian enough. I get it. All I'm asking is just stop the hate. Just do what you just did, Jimmy. Not a fan, but thanks. That's fine. I don't want to push her and her supporters away from us. Right? Some of them are going to come to us. Some aren't. She may come to us. She may not. But either way, if we can get an ally that will give our views, our ideas more, why wouldn't we take advantage of that ally? And maybe one day she'll come to us, and she may not, but some of her supporters will, particularly on certain issues. So, Jimmy, thank you. I get it. A lot of people I know are not Tulsi fans because of other issues she is all about. Universal health care, socialized medicine for all is one of those things people can't stand. I get it. All I'm asking is you could just say what you just said. Perfect. Not a fan. Thanks. And we're good. And if she tries to become the president nominee, maybe you'll vote against her. That's fine. So, unholy. That is the thought process of a person who believes in government as a god. Ooh, Brian, well done. Yes, that's correct. Absolutely. Oh, 100%. That's good. Yes. See if I can keep going here. The cathedral is gonna cathedral. Yes, that's true. Yes, absolutely. So, Tulsi could have set us apart. She sold out hard. You know, my view on that, Edward, you have a valid point here. I think she was thinking long term. I think she was thinking if she stays in a major party and supports Biden, I think she was thinking two things. One, she might get a position in the cabinet, maybe. That was one thought process, I think. I don't know this for sure. This is just my opinion. And I also think she realized something. If you know Hawaii at all, Hawaii is completely ruled, and I mean ruled, by the Democratic Party. So if you want to do anything politically in Hawaii, you kind of have to be a Democrat if she wants to stay there and be politically active. Now, she may not want to, right? I'm not sure that with the way things have happened, that she might just decide to not run again, but instead to take her specific issues and be more of an activist. If she does that, she may kind of walk away from the Democratic Party. It won't be that important to her anymore. But if she's going to run for something, I don't know, governor of Hawaii or whatever, she kind of has to stay within the establishment to do that. And she does lean Democrat. She is a Democrat. I mean, she is. She's definitely a libertarian-leaning Democrat, but she's still clearly a Democrat. So I get where she was going. Part of me agrees with you, though. If she had made a few turns and shifted a couple certain ways, I think she really could have carved out a niche for her. But that was a gamble. I think she went a safer route. Just my view. But I see where you're coming from, Edward. I do. I see where you're coming. So Tulsi is the leader of the liberty-leaning Dems. That's true. That's absolutely true, right? There is a segment of libertarian-leaning Democrats. They exist. I know some people of you on the right don't believe that, but they absolutely exist. And she absolutely is their spokesperson without question. So, yeah. All right. Also, we definitely need to buy Larry a little preamp or something so we can hear from Rita Tulsi. I'm working on some of this stuff, guys. As I said, I make like hardly anything, if anything, from this show, to be forward with you. I pay my team and I pay bills with this. I have a day job. That's how I pay my personal bills. So that's why I'm always bugging you guys for money. I'm always saying, head over to patreon.com, throw some money. As the money pops up in there, I buy equipment. So yes, that's how I'm trying to make this work. I am absolutely trying to make this a better podcast. I am. But as you know, we're libertarians. So we're not huge, right? We're not that big. I really hope that we can make this bigger. So don't get the fashion with Tulsi. She's not libertarian. Connie, again, she's Democrat. You're right. All I'm saying is she's mentioning us. Let's just be nice. That's all I'm saying. Let's just be nice. And I've seen many people really not be nice. And I don't want to alienate her, or even more importantly, a lot of people who follow her and now are going, why'd she mention libertarians? And now it's starting to talk about libertarians now. See, so I do want them to kind of come our way, if with anyone we can possibly get. So yes, the Democratic Party don't act very Christian. That's good. I like that. Well, it's unholy alliance. So yeah, absolutely. So the Crusades were a series of religious wars initiated, supported, and sometimes directed by the Latin Church in the medieval period. Yep. The term refers really to the Eastern Mediterranean campaigns in the period between 1096 and 1271. Yep. That the objective of conquering the Holy Land from Islamic rule. Yes. I must have missed this. I'm not sure why. This is uphill teaching, but yes, that's correct. There were, I believe, 3 Crusades officially. I think that's correct. And this is the reason why there's still Christian population in areas, like Lebanon, right? Like Syria, those areas, there's still Christian population from the early days of Christianity. Actually, in fact, the one former Libertarian congressperson, Justin Amash, is a Middle Eastern Christian from that time. Yes, absolutely. So let me keep grabbing if I can. All right. Tulsi Nails says, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Hello, my fellow heretics. Logan, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, we're all in trouble in that regard. That's for sure. Yes. So a lot of blue collars here just wanting to work. That's true. We can't get them back into the fold, selling our jobs offshores or attracting illegals to suck up the ladder climbing jobs for less trade pay. It's a problem, Edward, and we don't have an answer for that. That's my bigger issue, is that there's no answer for that, right? It's all about let's deal with COVID, the war, let's deal with violence, the war. But where is the idea of let's actually set up our own people for success? I don't see that one at all. We're funding government. We're not funding commerce that should fund government. We've got it totally wrong. I totally agree. Have a gulag backpack. Yes, absolutely. Look, all I'm saying is when they open the gulags up, I'm going to see if I can, get a good seat someplace so we can make sure the food's good at least, Keith. Well, for that, maybe there'll be marshmallows. We'll see if we can get some of those. I really hope so. We'll see. So, all right, let me grab this if I could, please. All right. Let me grab, if I could, I have one more. I wouldn't have minded if Biden nominated Tilda for Secretary of Foreign Affairs of the VA. Jonathan, I agree. I wouldn't have minded if she was involved. It'd be nice if it would be involved, at least. But let me go further on down that road for a second, right? The squad is against this. And the squad is basically the face of the far left in the Democratic Party. If Biden actually fights them and jumps in this domestic terrorism thing, he's going to break his party in half. And we're going to have a bunch of people who really think that libertarians may not be that bad. Let me grab, this is a piece from The Hill has a show in the morning. It's called Rising or Rise or something like that. I've actually forgotten the name of it. And they talk about this. Let me grab this one real fast if I can.
Mass censorship on social media platforms and the expansion of national security powers to fight extremists and domestic terrorists is what Glenn Greenwald is identifying as the beginning of a disempowering of anyone who dissents from the current agenda. And
that was the point he brought up. Glenn Greenwald says this is the way we're going to actually punish people who dissent, right? Who dissent. That's the issue. Who dissent, not who's dangerous. And that's the issue. Remember, prisons should be for people who we're afraid of, meaning violently afraid of, not who we don't like.
Journalist and co-founding editor of The Intercept, Glenn Greenwald, joins us now to discuss the looming new domestic war on terror. Great to see you.
The looming new domestic war on terror. And she's smiling. Oh, no, not good.
See you, Glenn.
Good to see you, Glenn.
Good to be with you guys.
I just saw a headline this morning. They're planning to leave thousands of National Guardsmen in the nation's capital now because of the impeachment trial is the justification that's being used here. What are some of the signs that you are seeing here that are troubling to you?
Now, she comes from the left. She leans left, right? This woman, she leans left. And she's like, really? There's thousands of troops in D.C.? Really? Yes. This is an issue, guys. I really hope this is a line that we're able to actually hold. I'm unsure if we can, to be forward with you. I'm unsure we can. But I really hope we can hold this line. If we don't, how long is it going to be militarized? For those of you who don't know this, if you go into New York City, I'm assuming now, I haven't been into Manhattan in many months, obviously, because of the government shutdown of COVID. But what I'm sure of is, as of this time last year, there were still uniformed soldiers in Grand Central Station with M4s, M16s, and pistols, or any combo. Armed, still in Grand Central Station. In case you guys don't know this, 9/11 was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, they're still, to this day, walking around the train stations in New York City. We have militarized our train stations in New York City, and no one even pays attention anymore. Like, yep, okay, there they are again. National Guardsmen walking around with, M4s, M16s, still doing it. That's our future in D.C.
Well, anytime the government deploys its military into its own streets against its own citizens, it's an act of extreme power on the
Yes. Absolutely.
part of the government. It's something that we generally really think ought to be avoided. And I think the thing that's most chilling about it to me is that, remember, it was only 6 months ago that Tom Cotton wrote an op-ed in the New York Times advocating that troops be deployed onto American streets against American citizens in order to quell the protests and riots that had broken out for months in multiple cities around the country.
It's funny how when the riots on one side, you don't like them, but when the riots on the other side, now you like them. I felt the same way both times. I don't want government troops in the streets. I don't want them, period. I don't want them for BLM. I don't want them for Trump supporters. I don't want them I don't want them in the streets, period. I don't want them in the streets. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You should be able to protest without having to deal with that. And riots, that's what cops are for. So put the cops in to deal with the riots. That's the issue.
After George Floyd's murder. And that view was considered not just misguided, but so evil, the idea that there should be troops in the U.S. street.
Yes, that's correct also. That view, Tom Cotton was wrong then, and the Democrats are wrong now. No troops in the streets.
That 2 editors at the New York Times were forced out of their jobs.
I remember
simply
that.
For having aired this view. And now 6 months later, we're not just having a senator advocate the deployment of troops. We have thousands and thousands of troops in the nation's capital with no end date for when they're going to go home.
That's my problem. No end date. How long are we going to militarize our capital? How long? How dare the riffraff defile our temple? Now we will bring the temple guard out to guard around the temple, so that no one shall pass except those who are holy enough to enter our temple. Yeah, I'm not joking. That's what's happening now. And it's going to become the norm. How do I know that? New York City. It's the norm. It's not crazy in any of our major areas, Penn Station, any of those large stations, to see many people walking around, full combat gear, full uniforms, the whole deal, marching around. You see it all the time.
With extremely amorphous justifications about why they're there, and most people seem fine with it. So it just shows you how potent fear-mongering is when the media unites to propagate it.
Yes, yes, and yes. For all you people who are mad about the COVID response, Glenn just told you why. When the media gets together to say the world's ending, then you can make a war on COVID, and now you can destroy everything. When the media says you've defiled the insurrection and the world's ending, then you can put 20,000 troops into our capital. Afraid Americans are our worst enemy. Afraid Americans are more deadly than all the Chinese, all the Russians, all the Iranians, all the North Koreans. Insert enemy you want to insert, doesn't matter. They are far more deadly. They're the ones who will destroy our country.
Yeah, and one of the things that I am concerned about, Glenn, is that you also see the president now, Joe Biden, calling, or at least seeming amenable to new domestic terror laws and more.
Yep.
What would that even entail? Because that's the thing I don't understand. What current law was not sufficient to stop the Capitol attacks? As I understand it, 100 more cops and the entire thing looks different.
Yes, that was my point. Cops can stop riots. You don't require the military to stop riots, right? Cops literally have riot gear, and they call it riot gear because it's for riots. That's literally what it's called, because that's what it's for. So cops can deal with riots. Yeah. Why do you require the army? Not required at all. Why do you require the National Guard? Not required. If there were another 100 cops there and they knew, hey, don't let them in, those cops would have stopped them. That's what would have happened.
Of course. I mean, of course, the United States, the most militarized country in the world, the most paramilitarized police force in the world, has the capacity to repel a few hundred protesters from the Capitol had they been prepared to do so, which is why talk that we're facing some kind of existential insurrection is utter lunacy and madness, clearly designed to exploit people's fears to justify greater powers. But
did you hear what he just said? What have I been saying? It was absolutely a riot. It was absolutely bad. And the people who went down to the Capitol, who planned on violence and were prepared to do actual violence, those people should be punished. The average person who showed up there should just go home, have a nice day, walk away. A lot of forgiveness. Let's really heal. Forgive them. Move on. It's fine. It happened. Move on. There's no defiling of my holy land. Just move on. But what it wasn't was an insurrection or existential threat. What happened to all of a sudden, there was going to be violence at all the state capitals? That was all. The FBI was saying that. That was all garbage talk. None of that was going to happen. I talked about this months ago. I said there will be some sporadic violence, but there won't be anything organized. There will be some sporadic violence, but there won't be a coup or a civil war. I said that because it's not going to happen. It's not true. It's a way of making Americans afraid so they can enact these types of laws and lock us down even more. And it's working. To his point, people are like, okay, I'm afraid. Take my rights away, please.
Obviously, the model they're using, and they're saying it explicitly, is what they did with the first war on terror, the one that was ostensibly devoted to foreign terrorist groups on other soil besides U.S. soil.
Did you hear that? Ostensibly, the other people, not you, the other people, the foreign people on foreign soil. That's what this is about. But
ended up infiltrating U.S. soil as well was to expand what it means to be a crime. Obviously, before 2001, it was already a crime to fly planes into buildings or to blow people up. Those were already crimes.
Yes. Why'd you have a special law like you blew people up? Okay, that's called murder. Still already a law. You're going to get a death penalty in many states, or at least life imprisonment. Already can. Already bad.
So they had to enact an entire series of new terrorism laws that were designed to expand what it means to support terrorism. And they called it material support for terrorism.
Material support for terrorism, which means anything we can possibly link to mean you support a terrorist. Anything we can possibly link.
Ended up being, if you were a Muslim and you uploaded a video critical of U.S. foreign policy and heralding people who are resisting, or if you donated money to a charity, it indirectly ended up in the hands of groups that the United States government, with no due process, designated as a terrorist organization. Even if it weren't your intent, your intent, you were prosecuted for materially supporting terrorist organizations. What this law does, that Adam Schiff proposed, is to simply take the existing war on terror law that is devoted to foreign terrorist groups and just amend it to say, and domestic terror groups as well, which means criminalizing all kinds of protest, associational, and even speech activities. Because as you say, Sagar, doing things like beating a police officer to death with a fire extinguisher or plotting how to violently attack the U.S. government, those are already crimes. You don't need new laws. You only need new laws if you want to really regulate core political activity, which of course is what they want to do.
If you want to regulate core political activity, literally, you want to take the way we treated the people who we sent to Gitmo Bay and allow the government to treat Americans that way. Basically taking our First Amendment, tearing it up, throwing it in the garbage. It just became the first suggestion. Now, New York State already has, it's already the second amendment or the second suggestion. Now we're going to have the First Amendment to be the first suggestion. And we have so many troops running around, we're literally going to they're going to force troops to stay in people's homes. We're going to get rid of the Third Amendment, which I thought would never have to deal with again. But that's going to happen now next. We just go down the road and just start getting rid of all the amendments. Get rid of them all. Make them all suggestions. This is what's happening right now.
Right.
Talk to me about the politics of this, because you highlighted Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and other progressives joined together in a letter in opposition to this.
The progressives are on our side here. I love it. Got some conservatives, but not that many. Got some, but a lot of progressives on our side here.
This new domestic terror law. Presumably, there may be some sort of libertarians on the right who may also join.
Libertarians on the right. How did we get stuck on the right all of a sudden? There's libertarians on both sides, Weisenheimer. All right? There's libertarians on both sides of this, right? Not just on the right only. Stop that. That's propaganda. I guess I shouldn't be unhappy. She's saying libertarians, which means, by the way, she's saying it. They're all saying it. You know what it means? It means they realize we're a powerhouse. It means that we're making impact. It means they have to mention us. It means we're starting to become more mainstream, right? It means that we have an opportunity this year and next year to make some real impact. That's what it actually means.
And with this type of effort to block new domestic terror laws, where do you think the politics of this stand? And what do we know about the Biden administration's openness to these moves?
It's the scary part.
The Wall Street Journal reported right after the Capitol riot that it was a, quote, priority for the Biden administration to usher in new domestic terrorism laws. They were
See, we got to go do something. So let's start passing laws. You know what Biden's all about? Reconciliation, right? And healing. So the first thing we should do is pass laws to punish people who are opposite of me. That works. This is my point, right? Biden's talk is absolutely nice. It's nice talk. I'm waiting for the action that goes to what he said. Let's see that happen.
To do that even before the Capitol event happened. The law that I referenced, proposed by Adam Schiff, was proposed in 2019.
Did you hear that? The law they want to put in place now for domestic terrorism, that was proposed in 2019. So they were ready for this, right? This goes back to my idea of people saying, why do you believe in conspiracy theories? Generally speaking, I don't. What I do believe is people are always waiting for the crisis to come to push their agendas. So it always looks like a conspiracy, right? So back in the 2001 days, they had the Patriot Act just waiting, right? Ooh, I can't wait to pick this one up. As soon as something crisis happens, 9/11, boom, Patriot Act. And then Schiff had this one, domestic terrorism, just waiting. Ooh, Capitol riot, boom. They're just waiting for the crisis to come so they can put out these laws. And Schiff had this in his pocket for literally years now.
So almost 2 years before what happened at the Capitol, it's just like the neocons wanted to invade Iraq long before 9/11 and then got to use 9/11 as the pretext to do it. So I do think it's so interesting and notable that the people who first stood up on the left to object to this were people like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, who have a very personal relationship to the abuses and excesses of the first war on
100%.
terror. And the last thing they want to see is having the FBI and the CIA and the NSA further empowered to do what they did in the first war on terror, now do it domestically. And the second, because they're smart enough to know that...
I'm not going to go with this smart part. See, I'm not prepared to go there. They've dealt with it themselves, and they've had it happen in their own communities. So they felt it. I'm not going to go with the smart part, but they get it. How about that? How about they get it? We'll go with that one.
The people that they may want to be targeted aren't necessarily the people who will be targeted if you empower these domestic law enforcement organizations to do these sorts of things. You look at their history, as the letter Rashida Tlaib orchestrated pointed out. Every time you increase the power of the FBI in the name of combating a domestic enemy, it's turned into serious repression
every time.
So I think that's the one thing that leaves me hopeful is there is this left-wing flank, the squad. 5 of the 6 members signed that letter. The only one who didn't was Cori Bush,
even
and
AOC.
others like Barbara Lee did as well. Definitely can work with people on the right and in Republican politics who are also very wary of what this is about.
100%.
And what I think I fear the most, though, Glenn, is that it's possible, but that's still a very nascent coalition. And of course, there are a lot of establishment Republicans who would be very happy to go along with this, empower the security state, give more contracts out to many of their donors and more. What is the backlash to this? What kind of backlash could manifest itself in our politics if we allow this sort of criminalization and militarization to continue into our domestic sphere?
It's terrible.
I don't know that there is much backlash right now. And I mean, you're absolutely right.
And that's the point.
If the Democrats lose 15 progressive members of the House, they'll easily replace those with Liz Cheney and her friends.
Exactly.
Go look at how liberals are talking about.
Now, I want to bring this piece up. I talked to you before, and I'm glad you guys were able to watch it. Thank you for that, for your patience. I talked a lot about the idea that the Democrats are going to be in a civil war coming up here. This is going to be a piece. If Biden just goes, yes, we are just doing it, if we're just going to do that, he's going to lose that part of the Democratic Party. And if they wind up getting primaried and lose, like the AOCs and the Tlaibs lose their seat, they're going to go up someplace else. They're going to be part of the DSA or something like that. That, though, would give us an opportunity, libertarians, to keep our arms open, to hear them, to talk to them. Now, I know a lot of you are like, how the heck could you ever get, Omar as a libertarian? Well, here's the reality. If it's the only place she can go, she can be an ally. She knows people. We can help her. We can bring those people in. We may never get her. It's fine. Fine. But most of the people who follow people like AOC or Omar, not all of them are far left. Not all of them are. They just want someone who cares about them and who gets something done. So those people, even though we may not be able to get the Omars of the world, can we get a chunk of her followers? Yeah. And I'll take whatever I can get. I want more libertarians. So we can keep our eyes open, our ears open, and just not be so negative. We absolutely can if we want to. So good. All right. Let me keep going here. All righty. Let's see. Temple guards are now cops. Yeah, kind of. But actually, in this case, the Temple guards are actually now the National Guard. Right to the National Guard. Absolutely. So, all right. 75 million law-abiding voters is a huge block. Republicans and Democrats alike have to be nervous at this point. I agree. I think they're trying to put people back. The Democrats, Republicans in this case, they're more afraid of the heretics than they are left or right. Right. So I mentioned this earlier. The Republican Party elite establishment, after Trump it was obvious he won the nomination, they began to embrace him because this is the guy they got. This guy can get some of the stuff done. But the establishment Republicans never liked Trump. They always thought he was a heretic, right? The average voter, many Republicans, not all, but a large chunk of Republican voters actually like Trump. But the establishment, they never did. So the second that now he lost, they're like, good, we can get rid of him now. He's a heretic. And what they're trying to do, even Republicans, is kind of purge out of the Republican Party the people who they consider Trump Republicans. They want the old school guys who like worship the establishment. They want those guys back in. They want that. They want that to be their norm. And that's going to take years if it even works. I'm not sure it'll work, but I think they realize it'll absolutely take years to do so. So that's what I think there. All right, see if I can do this here. See if I can keep going. Afraid Americans are most of the ones who have lost their ability to rely on themselves. Very valid point, Brian. And as I mention all the time, when you add government, you by default remove community. And we've had many communities in this country to where government has been their only answer for literally decades, for generations. So the communities have lost the institutional knowledge of how to rely on themselves, right? That knowledge has been lost in many ways, particularly in cities. They don't even know how to help themselves anymore. They haven't done it in so long. They've always gone to government for everything. It's a real problem. I totally agree. That'll take time to kind of move that, the opposite way. All right. You're trying to reason with liberals who think setting a city on fire is a peaceful protest. Maybe, but they're still my neighbors. They're still Americans. And I have to try to reason with the people who are around me. They still vote. They still put Biden in power. So I think we need to. Yes, as difficult as that may be, what's the alternative? Ignore them? Yell at them? Hurt them? Put them in camps? I don't want to become the camp guy. So yes, I agree. And difficult. 100%. Yes. So, rules for thee and not for me all the time. All the time. Yes, all the time. They'll settle for more surveillance. I think that's true. I think they will, Edward. I think you're right. I think they will try to go as far as they can. But if it falls back to just I get to spy on Americans now without, with Snowden not being a problem anymore, with now it being okay because domestic terrorism, then yeah, I think that will be the fallback and they'll be okay. Yes. So libertarians have your back on this sort of thing. Law enforcement has to protect and serve like intended, not police and power trip. Yeah. Bill of what? Yes. Yeah. The bill of suggestions. That's what it is, Vincent. So we suggest you do these. If you don't, whatever, or bill of revocable privileges if we're scared. How about that? Bill of privileges that may be revoked when we're scared. That could be it. There we go. So, all right. If I can keep grabbing this here. I'm driving home from work testing while stopping at a light. Thank you. Don't get in an accident. Please don't do that. Absolutely. It certainly does. I've been hearing libertarians a lot in the mainstream media as well as the radio lately. I agree. We are really, we are moving forward. They are concerned. Absolutely. And that's a good thing, right? As much of a pain as it is, it's a good thing. Yes. So will libertarians get anything done? Or we just stop the rest of Congress from getting anything done? I'm good with either. I feel like libertarians in politics is triage. Check for breathing, stop the bleeding, and then we can start actually treating the issues. I think it's a part of that. That's true. But if any of you were paying attention to my campaign in 2018, the number one thing I did was to really take the time to create policies that would make change and give people options right away. I think that's the number one thing we do. Create policies where we don't necessarily destroy the monopoly or the monolith that is government because there's nothing else there. As we were just talking about, a lot of people, as Brian was mentioning, they don't even know they can't rely on themselves or their community yet because they're not prepared for it. So create environments where you have the monopoly of the monolith and another community option, and let people begin to grab the community option. And I promise you, community option is always going to be better, right? Because when you're in trouble, whatever problem you have, the first thing you need is somebody who cares. Then that person will give you the right program, idea, issues, help, whatever you need. You don't need a checkbox program. So community will work better. We have to now facilitate that so that now people start going to community. The community, you kind of re-engages that community knowledge of how, to support each other. Then you can begin to bring the monopoly of government away. I think that's what we can do. Absolutely. So, all right. Let's see where I'm doing this here. Larry, I'm not saying you should run for president because you win necessarily, but because you represent the Libertarian Party so well. I appreciate that. Thank you. The odds of me running for president, I think, are relatively slim unless this explodes and I become super popular. I would much rather have someone who was more popular than me run. I'd be happy to be in a VP slot if someone wants me on that VP slot. But I'd have to, if to run for president, I've got to be able to run for a year and a half without working full-time job. I've got to be able to have enough money and notoriety to be able to have impact. If I can do those two things, then I'd consider it. But if I can't, I wouldn't. I'm not here just to do that. I want to make impact with what I do. And if I'm bugging you guys for time, money, and energy, I want to make impact. So I appreciate that. Larry, no offense, but we don't need crazy people like Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar in Liberty Movement or our allies. They are lunatics that have tyrannical and fanatical tendencies and have praised Maduro and other tyrants around the world. I'm with you on that, Avi. My point is they literally have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who follow them. Most of those people who follow them don't follow them because they actually love Maduro or anybody else. They follow them because they believe that this person, in this case, Tlaib, that they support them or care about them or think they have the answers. If we can bring those people to hear us and hear our answers, a lot of those people, they can come to us. So even if I can just get 10% of Omar's people, 10%, I'll take it. That's 10% more libertarians. I'll take it. And I'm prepared to do that because we are struggling to grow, as you can see. So I'm happy to join her as an ally on this situation. Happy for her people to look at us as not crazies, but actually regular people who have ideas. And some will come to us. And that's how it works often, right? Someone will come over to us and they're not really, right? They're not really libertarian, but their people are kind of and kind of not. And then that person goes back to being a Democrat or Republican, but a lot of their people stay. And what I'm saying is, let's make sure that we get as many people as we can possibly get. That's the issue, right? I want to get as many of them as we possibly can. So I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying I want us to get as many as we can possibly get. That's what I'm saying. So, all right. I've been saying it for a bit. Biden was never going to be about unity or compromise. He's a leftist. He's been trying to command that chair since the 70s. Yes, but he's not a far leftist, right? A realistic concern for Biden would be that he thinks he's going to lose power or he's worried. So he moves left to keep people together, right? To keep his coalition together. That's a realistic fear. But he himself, he's not a hardcore leftist. He's much more of a mainstream Democrat who would lean left or right as long as it got him in control. I mean, that's the issue. And as you said, he's been trying to run for president and gain command for literally decades. He'd be a Republican tomorrow if he thought that's how he could have, won and kept the presidency. So I think that's his issue. I don't think he's not about unity and compromise. He's about get along to keep power. And he personally is not a leftist. But would he go? Yeah, he would if he thought that was the way. If he thinks the neocon part of, or the establishment part of the Democratic Party can stay in power, he'll stay mainstream. He'll stay establishment. He won't move. It all depends upon what his people tell him to do. So I hope that was clear, at least my view. So, all right, let me see if I can keep doing this here. All righty here. It's been quite a few days since the Bremen lumped libertarians and domestic terrorists. I've heard people on the right mention libertarians more than just a few during an election cycle. Yes, that part I love too. Again, we are really, yes, I love it. If people on the left and right would just take a few minutes to hear out a libertarian core values, then I'd say we could turn 45% of our party easily. We got to reach out to our neighbors. Bob, yes, absolutely. We have to reach out to our neighbors. 100%. Yes. So Bill Weld as VP killed the LP. Well, what I would say to that is there was one guy who spent more time, money, and energy trying to stop that than anybody else. You're looking at that guy. I lost that election by 31 votes. Not that I'm counting. Vincent, I'm not counting. I don't know why you keep asking about this, Vincent. I'm not counting 31 votes. Who's counting? I'm kidding, obviously. Yes. I lost by 31 votes, and I spent all my own money and my own time in about a 5-week campaign trying to be Gary Johnson's VP in 2016, and I lost. So I get it. I wish it was me. I thought it was the right answer then. What are you going to do? So we'll deal with that. So Biden is whatever you pay him to be, just like Cuomo. I think that's true, right? I think there's a part of that that's true. Not 100%, but I think he's much more of a mainstream libertarian. I'm libertarian, please. A mainstream Democrat than most people would take him for. I do think that. So yes, I gave you my delegate vote. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. A lot of people did, but not enough people did. So yes. Anyway, guys, I hope this was interesting for you. I hope I shed some light on some issues and concerns. I hope we'll think more about talking to our friends. Please, guys, like, comment, share, please, as best you possibly can. It does matter. And if you've got some Trump bucks or some Biden bucks or some printed stolen bucks, whatever that is, head over to patreon.com/SharpeWay. The link is in the description if you care. Click on that right now. Throw me some bucks so that I can do what you're asking me to do, so I can pick up some extra things for the show to make it bigger, better, badder, stronger, and we can be the $6 million show. That was a 70s reference, $6 million man. So we can be an amazing show, and everyone can watch us, and we can be super powerful. Guys, thank you so much. I will see you all tomorrow.